What's going on, guys? So I took to Instagram once again because I've really been enjoying doing this format, really including my Instagram followers, for those of you watching that follow me on Instagram and contributed to this. I appreciate you as always. So I asked, what's the best fragrance for summertime? Simple enough, right? And pretty much all of these didn't surprise me. One, kind of, and there's a lot of good stuff that only got one or two mentions that didn't make the video, unfortunately. Some Roja Parfums fragrances, a couple Chanel's. Like there's a few that just didn't get mentioned enough to make the video, but there was a lot of really good stuff that was mentioned. And we got the 10 most mentioned answers compiled into this list. So let's discuss them. Let's see what it ended up being. Stay tuned. So these first two were mentioned together often and had individual votes the most. So these are the first two are the two most mentioned for this. The first one being Versace Man Eau Fraiche. Can't knock this one as being one of the best fragrances for summertime. Bright, citrus, fresh, watery aquatic, very clean musk. Really good stuff, known to pull a compliment. Super versatile too. I mean, these fresh fragrances, you can wear them for anything at any time, but it's very invigorating and uplifting when you smell this one. This is a great everyday scent in the warmer weather. It's great when it's super hot outside, you're sweating. This will cool you down a little bit. Not the most strong cooling effect out there, not the strongest, but it definitely smells incredible. Like I said, this is known to pull a compliment or two in its day. It's been around for a long time, and you can get them for a pretty good price at this point. This is a 30 ml. I have several other fragrances that smell kind of like Versace Man Eau Fraiche. It's pretty replicated when it comes to other fresh fragrances. Azaro Chrome Sport, for example. Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Parfum smells like a floral take on it. There's a bunch of fragrances that kind of resemble this fragrance, but at the end of the day, the original is always the best. So I can't knock anybody for picking this one. I mean, it was the most voted on. I say voted on, but most mentioned was Versace Man Eau Fraiche. The other most mentioned that was mentioned together with Man Eau Fraiche over and over is another Versace fragrance. Versace Pour Homme, also known as Versace Signature. Another one, can't knock this one. One I personally have dubbed the king of the office, honestly. I know a lot of people have given that title to Prada L'Homme, but I feel like this suits a lot more tastes than Prada L'Homme, because at the end of the day, that's a spicy, soapy iris fragrance, very floral and powdery, but this is still very soapy, but more citrusy and fresh, and the floral tone here is a neroli that just kind of adds a little bit of soapiness. It doesn't really make it smell too white floral or anything like that, just a little bit. This is very subdued, but in my experience, lasts a pretty long time on my skin. It's not one that I ever feel like I have to reapply 4 or 5 hours in. I feel like I can get a good 6 to 8 hours, especially spraying my clothes can definitely get close to the 8-hour range. It's just one of the most versatile fragrances ever created, and of course it shines in summertime hot weather. I mean, it's built for this. This is one of the best light blue fresh fragrances ever made. So another one, just like with Man Eau Fraiche, I totally get why it got mentioned so much. One of the best for summertime, for sure. Versace Pour Homme. Next, I'm not surprised this one got mentioned a lot. I didn't know it would get mentioned enough to make the 10, but it sure did. The recently discontinued, based on what I've heard, Bvlgari Aquamarine. So this is one I haven't spent a ton of time with, but I do enjoy quite a bit. This is that fresh, saltwater sea breeze type of smell. This replicates the summertime sea breeze smell better than any other fragrance in the line, more so than the original. And even though Aqua Atlantique is my personal favorite in this line, this is still the one that's the most transportive when it comes to beach vibes in a fragrance. And oddly enough, it absolutely matches what I'm wearing. It's beach vibes, Florida Marlins. I mean, come on. Well, Miami Marlins these days. But anyways, this fragrance, I mean, I don't know what's to not like about it, honestly. Like I said before, I completely understand why it got mentioned so much. Granted, I was surprised how much it got mentioned, but it's built for the summer. I mean, this is one of those fragrances that makes me think of summertime. I think in a recent video, I've even featured it dealing with that, with the warmer weather video that I've done recently. This is summertime in a bottle, even more so than my favorite. Like I said, Aqua Atlantique, that's kind of like the marine version, the saltwater marine version of Dylan Blue in essence. But this is just, like I said, it replicates salty sea breeze so well. I literally envision being ankle deep, standing in the ocean, I'm from the south, so standing in the Gulf of Mexico, sand between my toes, smelling that saltwater sea breeze, fresh air around it. It's just that, if you could, this is almost like bottling that smell. Pretty accurate representation, and definitely I'm in agreement with those on Instagram. The Bvlgari Aquamarine, one of the best fragrances for summertime. Another discontinued gem. Now, this had its heyday of hype, because when it got discontinued, you could still get it very cheap. It was popping up at rack stores. It was all over discounters online in the 30 some odd dollar range. We're talking about Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Cologne. Look, I know it's a little polarizing for some. There's some that didn't understand the hype. That's with every fragrance. Not every fragrance that is wildly popular for one reason or another is liked by every single person that gets their hands on it or just samples it for the most part. Because I know there's going to be people in here that don't understand why this is in here, but the overwhelming majority is going to be like, yeah, I absolutely agree. It should be in there. It's funny how that works when it comes to fragrances, but this stuff is bright citrus. You just gotta, it's beautiful. I can't help but want to just smell it over and over while it's floating in the air. Bright grapefruit orange citrus. It's zesty, but super creamy from the almond, the signature note for this line. Sadly discontinued, because I'm on the side that thinks this is an amazing fragrance. Above average performer too, for being so bright and fresh. It screams summer vibes, but a little bit more sophisticated. Like I said, the creaminess of this nutty note, the almond that's so heavily featured here, the light woods in the background. It's got an aquatic nature without being dominated by watery notes. It's really freaking good. It's crazy how super bright, zesty citrus works so well with bitter, creamy almond. It's always kind of perplexed me how this blend works the way it works, but it just works. So, like I said, there's some that don't understand the hype. There's some that are the reason for the hype, and I fall to the side of the reason for the hype. Definitely, I completely agree with my Instagram followers. One of the best for summertime, Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Cologne. This was one of those fragrances that kind of surprised me it got mentioned enough to make the list. This one actually made the spring video when I asked Instagram. So you guys seem to love this one regardless of season. As long as there's warm weather out, you guys like Artisan Pure from Varvatos. Can't say I blame you. I wore it recently myself. It's a beautiful, fresh green fragrance. A lot of herbaceous components here, but it doesn't take away any of the freshness whatsoever. Some clementine, beautiful clementine. I love a well-pronounced clementine note in a fresh fragrance. This has that. It's not too zesty. It doesn't come across super synthetic. It's got kind of this natural feel to it without being top-tier luxury oils, obviously. But for a designer fragrance that can be found in the sub $40 range, this stuff definitely doesn't smell like a sub $40 fragrance. It's definitely got a really good quality to it. It's a bit unique without being completely unique, because dominating petitgrain notes aren't in every fragrance. They're in some of my favorites, but they're not in every fresh fragrance that has a strong green feel to it. This is more so on the side of, like I said, the citrus up top dries into a slightly fresher green herbaceous feel with some prominent woods here, lighter woods that don't have too much of an edge. The cedar, there's no nasty cedar sharpness to this fragrance. There's no rough around the edge appeal to it whatsoever. It's actually quite smooth and very, I guess you could say, elegant and refined in some ways, because this is one of those fresh fragrances that I believe you can dress up very easily in the summertime. So a little surprised it got mentioned enough to be in the video, but not surprised that it got mentioned, because it is a great fragrance for summer. Can't deny that. Varvatos Artisan Pure. A beautiful, warm lemon ginger smell. The fragrance that veers from the DNA the most, I find anyways. We're talking about the Y DNA. We're talking about Y Eau Fraiche from Yves Saint Laurent. It's a beautiful fragrance. For saying it's a warm lemon ginger smell and being a warm weather summertime fragrance, kind of sounds a little contradictory, I understand, but it's just, the freshness is there for still having that warm lemon smell. The ginger provides the lemony feel, the warmth to the lemony feel, because there is a lemon note here, and this particular ginger has a warm lemon appeal to it. I know that can be kind of confusing the way I said it, but it's a beautiful fragrance. It's right in that average range, 5-6 hour type of stuff, not super strong, but such a good fragrance. The whole line's good. I mean, it's no secret I love the Y line. And this is not the one I would have picked as my favorite for the summertime. YEDT did get right under a handful of mentions. It wasn't enough to make the video. Had it got enough mentions, it would be here, even though like the whole Y line could make it if they get enough mentions. It doesn't matter if there's multiples from the same house, as you saw by the first two where Versace fragrances got mentioned the most. But this one, like I said, not surprising that it got mentioned as much as it did. I know a lot of people really enjoy this one for the summertime. Just for me personally, my taste, I would have leaned towards YEDT, but at the end of the day, I'm not picking these fragrances. This is according to Instagram, and I can't argue this point. It's damn good for summer. It was released as a summer flanker when it came out. So it's really good for that. It's about what you would expect for the freshness, the type of performance you can get. A little bit better than you would expect for this level of freshness. I think that ginger really helps give it a little bit more staying power, because if you remove the ginger, I truly believe it might only be a 4 or so hour fragrance. Here you get a little bit more out of it. I think that ginger really helps to give it a little bit of, I guess, sticking ability when it comes to your skin. Definitely really good stuff for the summer. Like I said, I can't argue with Instagram on this one. Not the one I would have chose, but it's still a damn good fragrance for summer. Y Eau Fraiche. Now this is definitely one I would have chose. I'm not surprised in the least bit that this is on here, that this got mentioned enough to make the video. We're talking about Mercedes-Benz Cologne. One of my personal favorite fresh fragrances for the summertime, out the shower, anytime I just want something fresh, super appealing, and enjoyable to smell. This is one I reach for. Similar to Dior Homme Cologne, but not quite the same. I feel like this takes a little bit different path, because with Dior Homme Cologne, you have a grapefruit blossom that kind of gives a ice-cold lemonade type of smell, whereas here, yes, it has a similarity to it. It is lemony, but it's also orangey at the same time. I believe there's orange and mandarin orange in here, and it provides a zestiness that's not found in Dior Homme Cologne. And this is a little bit more synthetic, does have a little bit more staying power because it's synthetic at the same time. This is another one. I actually get really good performance out of this. I get every bit of 6 hours. I know some people say they get 3 or 4 hours. It's a skin chemistry thing. It might be an anosmia thing, going nose blind, but for me, this stuff is great. I can bathe in it too. I can spray myself down very easily with this and have a, serious in-my-face scent bubble and enjoy every second of it. So I was very happy to see this one make it, because I agree, one of the best for summertime, hands down, is Mercedes-Benz Cologne. Ironically enough, the fragrance Mercedes-Benz Cologne smells like, it got mentioned enough too, Dior Homme Cologne. I had a recent experience with this one that surprised me, the type of performance I got. When I recently did the Manitou incline with some friends, 5 hours into, about 5 hours roughly, into having sprayed it last, after climbing a freaking mountain and sweating like crazy, and putting my body through some serious physical agony. When we're making our way down, my buddy Kyle was behind me, and every bit of 7 to 8, 9, 10 feet roughly behind me, and guess what I was wearing? Smelled the sillage that was coming off from Dior Homme Cologne, which is known to have very weak performance. I thought at best I got 3 or 4 hours on my skin based on past experiences with this fragrance, but apparently I get a little bit better than that. Skin heating up, circumstance can dictate different things, and it was projecting. I had a really good trail going behind me. It was projecting enough to create a decent enough sillage to grab somebody almost 10 feet behind me, hours into the wear. Ice cold lemonade, one of the best fresh smells ever created. Not too masculine. Anybody can wear this one. Yes, it's marketed for guys. It's a Dior men's cologne. Homme for man. Dior man cologne. but it's just so good. I can't imagine this not smelling good on literally anyone and everyone, man, woman, and child. It's just really good stuff. Can't knock it for getting mentioned this much, because it is a great summertime fragrance, especially if you love the smell of ice cold lemonade. Can't go wrong here. Definitely one of the best for summer, Dior Homme Cologne. Next, this is one of my personal favorites to wear in the summer when I'm looking for performance, when I want to be noticed. Sometimes you want to wear a fragrance that's going to get you noticed, and Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense is definitely good for that type of stuff. This is a beast in performance. This is one of the better performing summer fragrances out there. It's a very light blue, fresh, citrus aquatic, but it's got some serious staying power to it. This stuff's strong. Another one that can pull a nice compliment from time to time. Because like I said, people are going to smell you, especially if somebody's walking behind you. This leaves a dense and strong trail. And it projects really well for the first 2 to 3 hours. For me, it pushes pretty heavy on the skin. I don't need to spray a lot. I was actually quite happy to see this one make it, because this is one I would pick as one of the best for summertime for sure. With Light Blue Forever getting so much love in the last year, and even with Italian Love, which is very similar to Light Blue Forever, look, they're great. Don't get me wrong, but man, this is the best one in the line still. Yes, I think the original smells the best. This is an intensified scent to the original for sure. It's a accurately named fragrance, Eau Intense. But it's the best performer in the line. And in my experience, it will pull the most compliments. Is it going to pull a compliment every time you wear it? Is everybody going to want to tell you how good you smell? No. But I know that kind of stuff's important to a lot of you. And in my experience, and I know a lot of my friends that have it too in their experience, the likelihood goes up when you're wearing stuff like this. And performance is very important to a lot of you that watch this channel. So again, I stress, this is the one from the line. If you're looking for the performer, one of the best for summer, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense. Last but not least, enough mentions to make the video, the only niche fragrance to make this video. I thought for sure a few others might make it. Roja Parfum's Vetiver Parfum Cologne actually got a few mentions, but not as many. This Burlington 1819 got mentioned a few times, but Roja Parfum's Elysium Parfum Cologne was the clear-cut winner. Sorry for the reflection of the ring light, but the clear-cut winner when it came to niche fragrances that got mentioned. It got mentioned enough to make it. I'm glad at least one niche fragrance made it in here, but this is a modern classic. This stuff is great. Mega fresh, beautiful citrus. Has an aquatic vibe without being aquatic at all, really, as strange as that sounds. A little bit of that blue, watery type of smell without being just a marine, watery, aquatic. I know that's kind of odd, but there's a beautiful citrus here. There's some light, fresh green, herbaceous components. There's some light woods. There's a lot of complexity to the note breakdown, but the smell, the scent profile doesn't come across as super deep and crazy complex. Does it have some nuances, subtle nuances to it? Sure. You'll go through a few different changes on your skin that you'll detect throughout the life of the fragrance, but it's a magnet for people to want to smell you. It really is. That's where this stuff shines. That's why, for as expensive as it is, it's popular like it is. Something about Elysium. People just love to smell Elysium. And the Parfum Cologne is more affordable than the original Parfum pour Homme. And look, I know a lot of people have said they get terrible performance out of this. Oh, I only get 3 hours. It's not worth the money. You're paying for an experience, not for performance. That's what you have to keep in mind when it comes to fragrances. Because for me personally, every time I've ever worn this, I get anywhere from 5 to 7 hours. And for a fresh fragrance, a very fresh fragrance, that's great performance. Because it's such a volatile top note that once it opens up from being atomized with some perfumer's alcohol, the clock starts ticking on the loss of freshness. And once you lose that magic of the opening, you're left with the dry down, the base of the fragrance. You'll get a little bit of the heart, but the base of the fragrance. And if it's not magical in the base of the fragrance, nobody's going to buy it. So for those that have complained about performance with this one, there's a reason it's a top seller for the house at its price point. Even from, discount sites, you're paying over $200 for this bottle. There's a reason people buy it. Because there's magic in the opening, there's magic in the heart, and there's magic in the base of the fragrance. So whether you get 2 hours or 10 hours, this stuff smells frickin' incredible. And I totally agree with those that mentioned it on Instagram. One of the best for summertime. Roja Parfum's Elysium Parfum Cologne. Well, that's the 10 that were able to make the video. And until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. How many of you have any of these? What do you think of them? Thank you to everybody watching that was on Instagram that answered the question and helped provide the content for this video. I've really been having fun doing this. It's nice to survey people on a different platform and create a YouTube video out of it. It's just something different, nice change of pace. I've really enjoyed doing these videos. I've done like a handful or so of the according to Instagram videos, and I think this is gonna be a format that's gonna stay long term. Is it gonna be an all the time thing? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see what the future holds, but it's definitely been fun to do and get your guys' thoughts on some of these fragrances. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the 10 that are featured in this video and you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me and Instagram later. Have a good one, guys.